guys, I wanted to do a how-to video for you today on how to dry your jujube bags. There's really only two major rules that you need to remember when drying your bags. One, never ever 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 put them in the dryer. That'll mess with the Teflon coating and the glue that's in many of the bags, so never do that. The other big thing is to make sure that the bag is completely dry, especially if you're going to be storing it or perhaps shipping it to someone else, because these bags can acquire mold and mildew pretty easily if they're not thoroughly dried. So as long as you adhere by those two rules, there's really no wrong way to dry a bag. But these are just a few tips and tricks to help you if you've never done it before. So I've washed two bags. I have a new to me Be All in the Marvelous Moms print. It was a well-loved bag. It actually is really just a little bit dirty. So it's been thoroughly cleaned. I've done the deep cleaning on it. It's had about 4 soaks. Just got finished power rinsing it, and then I also washed my Cobalt Blossoms Super Bee because I've been using that as a pool bag, so I wanted to have that clean before I kind of put that away for this season, so to speak. So I'm going to start with the Super Bee. A couple of handy things to have. If you can always dry them outside, like on a clothesline. You could use a drying rack. I have neither of those things, so I've improvised. For what I need, I usually need hangers. Stroller clips are amazing to have, especially these plastic ones. I wouldn't necessarily recommend metal ones. These are by Baby Bugs. I love these stroller clips. And they do hold a lot of weight and they spin all the way around. They're fabulous. You also need a bunch of towels, washcloths, paper towels, and a box fan. If you can have any of those combination of things, you should be able to dry your bag no problem. So, with the Super Bee that I have, I just hand wash this. You can obviously throw them in the washing machine. I know Kate Schwenke has a video on how to wash your jujube bags in a washer, but I just want to do it real quick, so I hand wash this. If you're hand washing something, make sure to wring it out as best you can because you're not having a spin cycle. That washer does a nice spin cycle, gets a lot of the extra moisture out, but if you're washing it by hand, you got to be your own spin cycle. So I pretty much squeeze this out as best I can. As you can see, it's still a little drippy, which isn't a big deal, especially with the lighter bags. There's so much more forgiving in the drying process. So with any bag, after it's washed, whether it's the washing machine or hand wash, it's best to try to get as much of the water out as you can with a towel. So I usually just sandwich the bag and kind of squeeze down on it. The light bags are a lot easier to do. This one, there's a lot less water that comes out kind of in this process. So I like to just do a general squeeze, and then all your pockets and compartments should always or already be open because you always want everything open when you wash them. And then you can kind of blot it out on the inside with a towel, kind of squeeze around on it. Make it into like a little burrito here. Get all that stuff out. Pretty much you just want to get the drippy wetness out because it'll dry faster. Like I said, with the light bags, like the Super Bees, lights, the unstructured ones, they dry so much faster. This isn't like a huge deal to do as much as with the structured bags, but it doesn't hurt. It is going to help it dry faster. Another thing you can do to get in the pockets, that's why I like to have washcloths or like hand towels. You can roll them up. They're really nice for fitting in nooks and crannies. And just put them in the pockets. And you can either, if it's super sopping wet, you can leave the towels in there during the drying process if you want to kind of stretch out some and help kind of suck up some of the moisture. You don't have to as much in the light bags, but it does really help suck the moisture out, so I would recommend doing that, but it's not necessary. Once the bag's not so sopping wet, you can stuff any of the bottle pockets with paper towels. I don't recommend doing that when it's still pretty drippy because you're just going to get a nasty papery mess in your bag. So that it's best to just keep any kind of towels that you have, or washcloths. Like in the Super Bee, you have this little pocket here that doesn't go all the way down, so you can put a washcloth in there. And then you just want to hang it. Laundry rack would work well. Clothesline would work awesome. There's a couple ways to do it. If you don't have either of those, you can use stroller clips, which the Super Bees and Lights have these little I don't know, loops, we'll call them here. I don't even have D-rings on them, but they'll still fit on stroller clips. You just sort of pop them open and slide them on. And this is one way to kind of start drying it out. What I like to do with my drying process is to, every hour or so, come up and change the position of the bag. Right now, this is sort of what I call like the drip dry portion. So even though I've wrung it out, I've blotted it, it's still going to be a little drippy. So it's a good idea to have a bath mat or a towel underneath it. And then once it's done with more of this drip dry phase, I'll usually take it off, either turn it upside down. You could put it over a rack like this just to have a different way that the water is going to drip out. You can take a couple hangers if you want. I like the kind that have the little shirt loops. You can do different things with hangers to kind of open it up more. On my shower that I have here with the doors, these hangers don't really fit as well if you're going to have a heavy bag. They can fall. If you just have a regular shower rod, it'll work fine. So I would do that for most of the drip process, and then just kind of check to make sure every couple hours that it is drying. Another way to expedite this process is using the box fan. So what I would do after it's not drippy any longer is hang it up like so. I wouldn't want it hung against the door just because you want as much air to flow freely through the bag as possible. So as long as you can hang it, it doesn't need to be this high. It can be a lot lower. Just point the box fan on it. I do it on low, and that'll kind of help dry it. It's cool air, not heat, so it's not going to affect any of the coating on the bag. If you, for some reason, don't have anywhere to hang it, or you just don't want to hang it, you can always, which I'll show you better with the all I have, lay it on a towel in front of a box fan, and then just kind of prop it open with a towel. I'll turn it around so you can kind of see, sort of place the towel in the middle and try to let air circulate through. I wouldn't necessarily recommend this with the light bags. It's just so much easier to hang them up somewhere. So that is how to dry the unstructured bags. Now, throw some of this stuff out of the way. With the more structured bags, and you'll see, get ready, this one's, I've wrung it out and it's still super drippy. Again, make sure all your pockets and everything are open, and in the alls, I mean, there's lots of pockets. So all these are open, and you definitely want to do a drip dry procedure first on these structured bags. One way you can do that is with anywhere you have D-rings with the stroller clips. And these particular types of stroller clips, these will fit over the rod on a regular shower as well. I just didn't want to use my kids' bathrooms while they're napping. So this is one way you could drip dry it. This is probably the way I would do it, just to get the initial wetness out. You could also use hangers and rig it up. I mean, like I said, there's no real wrong way to do this. You can use it through the D-rings like this. If you don't have stroller clips, or if the only ones you have are metal. But if you're going to go this route, backwards, there we go. I would, oh, that's the wrong D-ring, my bad. I would recommend doing it over a towel bar or something that's going to catch. On this kind, as wide as mine is, it's just going to be a balancing act, which is why I use the stroller clips. So once, and you would obviously be towel drying this out before, just to get some of the extra moisture out. Once it's been thoroughly towel dried, you've done a decent drip dry for at least an hour or so. You can continue rotating the positions and letting it drip dry if you want, but what I prefer to do, especially for the structured bags, because they're so much heavier and they take longer to dry, is to stuff the bottle pockets. I usually do the first round, even though they've been blotted and drip dried, with hand towels because they're more absorbent, though it does depend on the size of the bottle pockets you have. Alls have really big, nice, generous bottle pockets, so hand towels work nicely in there. So just kind of fold them and stuff them. And then I like to prop it on its side in front of the box fan. Okay. So this is kind of what it looks like. And if you want to keep this inside open more, sometimes it'll stay like this on its own, but a lot of times after you turn the fan on, just the movement of the air, even though it's on low, will cause the bag to kind of collapse down. To prevent that from happening, I would recommend using, for this size bag, another hand towel, but I'll show you how to do it. The regular towel, just sort of prop it open like this. So if it was a hand towel, here, easier to see if I actually do it with a hand towel. Just kind of stuff it in there like that, and that keeps it open and allows the air to circulate. So then I would leave it like this, facing the box fan, for an hour or so. Come check on it. After probably an hour and a half, I'd want to remove the towels that were in here and either switch them out with new towels if it's still super wet feeling, or if it's starting to feel a little more dry, just take like a washcloth and kind of prop it open. And if you can, try to make it so there's gaps so air can circulate through. And then just keep rotating the position of the bag. So like on an all or a butter bee where they have this flap here, and many wash rags as you can is helpful. I just prop it, lets the air flow through, and it dries so much faster and more thoroughly, in my opinion, with this method. And then I just keep rotating and using different positions, switching out towels until it seems dry. And then I still let it sit in front of the fan for probably at least like an overnight, just to be safe. And if it's to the point where I feel it's almost dry, but I'm not sure 100%, that's when I like to use the paper towels. That way I know they're not going to end up into a nasty, pulpy mess in the bottle pocket. And they'll help soak out any of that extra moisture. And that's pretty much it. It's not really hard to do, obviously, but sometimes it's just sort of confusing to figure out where to get started. So I'm going to show you a couple of other bag types real quick, just to give you an idea of how I would hang them. I have a mini bee here, which obviously this has not been washed, but you would want to open all of it. And this is actually a child's hanger, which is how I hang it in my closet. You could use a regular size hanger, but I would take it on whatever hanger you have and either hang it off like stroller clips like this in front of a fan, or from the towel bar. And then if you want, this is also a light material bag, just like the Super Bees and Lights, if you're not familiar with this, so it will dry faster. But I'd also consider popping this open with like a washcloth and stuff, just to help circulate some air through. So that's a mini bee. And pack-a-bees are like the best bags to dry because they have this strap that you can play with. So any of the bags that have straps with removable clips are my most favorite because they have their own drying system integrated into it. So you can just undo it on the pack-a-bee and then throw it over your towel bar or wherever you want to hang it, and hang it like this. And the best thing, especially with the pack-a-bee, is you have so many D-rings on it that you can just keep continuing to rotate it and using its own straps to help hang it up and line dry it. They are my favorite bags to wash because they're just so easy, so much less stuff. And then quicks and sets. If you have a line, clothespins would hold these great, but otherwise just open it up, make sure it's propped. And actually with this, I have it on the zipper, I would undo this and do it more of a wristlet style, because it's going to help let the bag be open a little easier. And if it's not staying open for you, granted these are light and dry pretty fast, but you can always prop it open with a washcloth, same thing. And with your sets, you can either, if you have smaller stroller clips or a wire hanger, you can hang it with their little D-rings there, or come up with any other different creative things. I like using the straps a lot, pretty much anything that's already on the bag to help dry it out. So I hope those tips were helpful for you. Just main thing is always remember, make sure your bags are dry thoroughly before you put them away. And thank you so much for watching.